The report is that the attempted assassins, we now hear it was a man and a woman who fired the shots, were on the ledge of a building near the Houston Street underpass. Another is, and apparently this is correct, that one of the Secret Service agents whose job it was to guard the life of the president was killed in his line of duty. The president was whisked from the scene of the attempted assassination or assassination, depending upon his condition, of course, at this hour, by bus to Parkland Hospital, which is located about 1.5 miles from this site, which would make it about 3 miles from the site of the shooting.
We also have just heard that perhaps Vice President Johnson was wounded in the arm in this incident. He was seen entering the hospital, at least, holding his arm, and has not been seen in the corridors of the hospital with the waiting White House aides since. Governor Connally could very possibly have been shot in the back with the assassin's bullets still coming from the front of the car. He rode in a small jump seat in the center of the back of the specially built presidential limousine, specially built for such public performances such as this.
On the 4th or 5th floor, it has never been completely determined on which floor, of that building, 4 empty cartridges were found.
Further plans are indefinite, but it's understood that the actual funeral services are going to be held in Boston after the lying in state in Washington.
This is the rear entrance to the hospital through which the president's car was brought. There are the roses Mrs. Kennedy had been carrying. They were on the floor. They had gotten there in the car as Mrs. Kennedy put the head of her mortally wounded husband on her lap. This is the interior of the convertible. There were some others wounded at the scene of the shooting. They were brought in much later. Around the window from which the shot is believed to have been fired, there were bits of fried chicken, indicating that the man who used that gun had had a chicken lunch while waiting for the president's motorcade.
No one knows at this time where Lee Harold Oswald is.
Governor Connally was hit in the head and the wrist. President Kennedy, we are now informed, was shot in the right temple. It was a simple matter of a bullet right through the head, said Dr. George Berkeley, the White House medical officer.
We know that Mr. Kennedy was hit in the right temple and that Governor Connally was hit in the head and wrist. That's all we know at the moment on Governor Connally. We do not have a late report on his condition. As you know, the president died just about an hour ago from his wounds.
Well, it's to the effect that a Secret Service agent and a Dallas policeman have been shot and killed some distance away from the area where President Kennedy was assassinated, and no other information was immediately available.
Now, there was an earlier report, Frank, from WBAP-TV that a Dallas policeman had been shot to death approximately 2 miles from the scene where the assassination of President Kennedy took place.
This seems to be the same policeman, but that a Secret Service agent was killed in addition.
And they found a rifle on the 5th floor of that building. Police then received a tip that a man suspected as the assassin had gone into the Texas Theater. 2 Dallas policemen went into the theater. They were told by an usher that a man had just come in. They spotted him. 1 policeman fired at the suspect, who returned the fire, killing the first policeman. There was shooting within the theater. The other policeman then arrested the suspect, who yelled, "It's all over now." He was clapped into handcuffs and taken out. The indications are in the last story we had here that the suspect had been taken into custody, Oswald, and the dead Dallas policeman engaged in a shooting affray within the Texas Theater, where the suspect was ultimately taken into custody. However, Murphy reported that the killing of the policeman took place in the vicinity, that Oswald was then chased into the theater and then arrested.
Late films have arrived in our newsroom from Dallas showing the scenes of horror and disbelief outside Parkland Hospital. Newsmen hurry to the emergency room. The president's wife arrives, stunned. This is Mrs. Kennedy, in the middle. At this point, no one knew whether the president was alive or dead. Mrs. Kennedy conferring with a Dallas policeman who had sped the president to the hospital and into the emergency room goes Mrs. Kennedy. A corsage of roses lies inside the car in which President Kennedy was shot.
The wounds indicated that an automatic weapon was used. And also a few minutes ago, John, the newsman, I can't think of my name, John Allen, told me that he heard a report from one of the radios, and this is only a report, that there were 4 or 5 other people hit. I don't see how there could be, because I know there were only three shots. There were only 3 shots. Jer, where's your mic? Mrs. Nunley.
No, Newman.
Newman. I've been calling you. I'm sorry. I don't even remember my own name, really.
It's terrible.
A Secret Service agent apparently was shot by one of the assassin's bullets as well. Bill left the phone to check with the sheriff's office. He did confirm the death of the Secret Service agent.
The United Press reports that the president died at 1:35. That would be 1:35 Eastern Time, I presume. That would have been about 1:35 Central Time. That was only about 2 minutes ago. Now that, again, is a United Press International report. It is not attributed. We do not know whether that is an official announcement by anyone in the Kennedy party.
First reports said that President Kennedy was shot from an overpass. Our WFAA TV reporter, Mal Couch, saw the gun emerge from the upper story of the warehouse, which has turned out to be the 2nd floor of the Texas Book Depository.
One of the Secret Service men traveling with President Kennedy was killed by the gunfire today. We have not received word that any others were wounded.
May report this bulletin that a Secret Service agent and a Dallas policeman were shot and killed here today. They were shot some distance from the area where President Kennedy was assassinated. No other information immediately available from there, except one more point here, that this Secret Service Lieutenant Eric Kaminsky has said the assassin's weapon appears to have been a high-powered Army or Japanese rifle of .25 caliber.
One of our newsmen, Mal Crutch, said that he saw the rifle come out the window. Mal Crutch said that he saw the rifle come out the window. Mal Crutch.
As you would imagine, these quarters became swarmed with investigators, Secret Service.
There's the window there.
The window right there where the fatal bullet was fired.
The fatal shots were apparently fired from a 5th floor window, and that is where the spent shells have been found. Interestingly, the murder weapon itself was found on the 6th floor, which indicated that the assassin ran upstairs in an effort to hide the weapon before leaving the building.
Dallas Crime Laboratory Lieutenant J.C. Day went to the building a short time after the shooting took place, and he walked out with a British .303 rifle. The rifle has a telescopic sight. Now, the rifle was found on the 6th floor of the building near a corner window. Also, police searching that area found 3 empty .303 cartridge cases, also scraps of chicken, as if a person could have been there for some time.
Now, we are starting to get conflicting reports on weapons. There was one that it was a .303 rifle, and that 3 spent .303 cartridges were found on the 5th floor of this building, along with some remnants of chicken, indicating that the sniper staked himself out for quite a while before firing the fatal shot today. Now there is another word that a Mauser has been found, a 7.65 Mauser. It's a German Army rifle which had a telescopic sight with 1 shell left in the chamber. 3 spent shells were found nearby. What this means, whether this is the weapon or the other, we do not know. Possibly the Mauser is measured in millimeters and might come close to being a .303, Frank.
Might well be. I would expect certainly that during these early and confusing moments of this thing, we're likely to get conflicting reports.
Do you know exactly what kind of gun that they found over at the book?
Yes, sir. They have just found the weapon that they believe is the assassination weapon. It is an Argentine 6.5 Mauser that had a 4-power scope on it. Also, in this same area, they found a bag of chicken. They found several bottles of soft drink. And in other words, the man had been planted there for some time. This is an Argentine-made bolt-action rifle of World War II vintage. You can see the telescopic sight.
We have
heard that a definite identification has been made of the type of rifle used in the assassination of President Kennedy. It was not a Mauser, as has been reported through most of yesterday and today, but an Italian Manlicher Carcanto, manufactured in the Italian town of Carcanto. The rifle was a high-powered one with a sniper scope attachment that permitted marksmanship from that fifth-floor window to do the job on the President of the United States in just one single shot. And as we told you earlier, doctors say that President Kennedy undoubtedly never knew what hit him.